If Michigan doesn't reach the college football playoff this season, I think the season's a failure. That should be the expectation at Michigan every single season, that if you do not make the college football playoff, the season's a failure. And maybe some years, if you have a super hard schedule, last year being the example of that, then yeah, you can give some grace. But last year's team going 8-5, 5-4 was pathetic. They shouldn't have been tied for 7th in the Big Ten. If they just went into the portal and got a competent quarterback, they could have gone 9-3 or even 10-2. And then make the college football playoff. I mean, they were that close against Illinois, Washington, Indiana, and then against Ohio State. If they had a competent quarterback, they may have won by 2 scores, given how that game unfolded. So last season was a disaster. It can't happen again. And Michigan needs to have high expectations, like they did for much of the Harbaugh tenure. But at the same time, even Michigan fell short of those expectations for much of Harbaugh's tenure and downplayed them at times. That can't happen again. Michigan's win total in 2025 is juiced 9.5. It's juiced to the under. Don't know why I wrote over, but 9-3, 10-2 is the most likely outcome here for this Michigan team. That's what Vegas is saying. It's 9-3, 10-2. Michigan's an underdog at Oklahoma, so they're thinking 7-2 or 8-1 in Big Ten Conference play compared to, the 5-4 record in Big Ten Conference play last season. This schedule for Michigan is very, very doable. I mean, look at it right here. You got New Mexico, Oklahoma on the road, Central Michigan, at Nebraska, Wisconsin, at USC, Washington, at Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern at Wrigley Field, at Maryland, and Ohio State at home. The only team that is viewed as unanimously better than Michigan in the preseason on the schedule per power ratings is Ohio State. Before we resume this segment, please take a few seconds of your time to make sure you have liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and for any team podcasts and playlists linked in the description, and also comment your thoughts down below in the comment section and join my Discord server via the description. All of those things I just asked you to do are completely free, and they sign you up for things related to my channel, or they don't sign you up for anything. No cost to you, and all the benefit to you because we release daily college football content here on College Football with Sam. If you want to support the channel monetarily, sign up for a YouTube membership, or check any other links in the description for my merchandise store and Patreon page. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the segment. And Ohio State has a mental issue with Michigan, and they do not match up well yet again with Michigan having the better D-line for probably the 5th year in a row, and Ohio State had the better O-line than Michigan overall last season, but in game, when they played, Michigan had the better O-line, and entering this year, I think it's a toss-up again, with Ohio State losing talent there, returning starters, but losing their best tackle, and Michigan just having such an awful supporting cast where you think the job can only get easier for their offense this year. That's a huge advantageous schedule. They could realistically go, I think, 11-1 or as bad as 7-5. You could widen the outcomes too and say that maybe they could go undefeated, but they could also finish 500 or worse and Moore gets fired. I'm optimistic about much of this offense solely because I don't think it can get worse from where it was last year. With the talented QB, a more talented running back room, an interior offensive line that returns production and wasn't bad last year. It was good, I think, by the end of the year. The problem is they had no supporting cast, so everyone knew what Michigan was going to do. You could only run the ball, so they'd always stack the box. Tackle was genuinely bad, and I still have some concerns there. Same with the wide receiver room and the staff. But the defensive line, based on recruiting, development, and what they've done in the portal, should still be exceptional. Linebacker has 4 seniors in the 2-deep, all of whom have played. And special teams with Dominic Zvada should be awesome. I genuinely think that, a player like Rayshon Benny is going to have a really good year. Same with Derek Moore or TJ Guy or incoming transfers Trey Williams or Damon Payne. Michigan has 5, 6 maybe playable defensive tackles at 300 pounds. No one else in the Big Ten, except for No one else on their schedule except for Oklahoma has that, and no one on their Big Ten schedule has that. It's just it's crazy. Michigan should reach the playoffs with this schedule. They return 65% of their production, have a preseason S&P Plus rating of a 21.5, which is 10th. They're viewed as about 3.5 touchdowns better than the average college football team per Bill Connolly's preseason power ratings. The expectations at plus 1,000 odds to win the Big Ten, plus 210 to reach the playoffs, should be playoff or bust. You can lose 2 games. It matters who they are, yes, but lose 2 games, get into the playoff. The season is probably at least a success, depending on who those losses are to. Or at minimum, just, we met expectations at least. So not phenomenal, but not bad either. I want to go over the specific expectations for 2025 and then talk more about Bryce Underwood, because I think he ties into this. If Michigan returned Davis Warren and just got any quarterback out of the portal, say they got Jackson Arnold out of the portal, who was straight up bad, nowhere near as talented as Underwood coming out of high school, I think maybe we'd view the expectations differently. At least I would, at least for this season. Moving forward, not, but this season I might view them differently. However, factoring in the incoming Underwood transfer, the fact that Michigan got some really good tackles, and the fact that they were able to use the portal to not reload, because no one's going to replace Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant. That's perhaps a centennial defensive tackle duo. Definitely a generational one with how elite they were. No one's going to replace those. But the fact that they were able to get depth in the portal, and they have a lot of rotational bodies, I think shows that they're not going to drop off a ton. They'll drop off, but not a lot. Factoring those 2 things in leads me to say that Michigan needs to go over their preseason win total and make the college football playoffs. That's goal number 1. We already talked about that. Goal number 2 is that Brycen Moore needs to go undefeated versus his rivals given the circumstances. So Michigan State's still in rebuilding mode. Yes, it's on the road, but Michigan has roster matchup advantages against them. Ohio State, they host. They have a mental advantage over. They have better special teams. Michigan has right now as proven as running backs as Ohio State does. In terms of recruiting talent, they're actually better. Haynes is a 5-star. Marshall was a 4-star. Donaldson was a 3-star. And Peoples is a 4-star. And then when you look at the offensive line, Michigan actually has more blue chippers and more 5-stars and more top 100 players there than Ohio State does. And look, I know that for parts of last year, Ohio State's O-line looked better, and earlier in the season it was way better. But I wonder how Michigan's O-line would have looked last season if they had a generational running back duo, a quarterback with legs with eyes in the back of his head, and wide receivers that made it so that no one could stack the box against them. Obviously, you can't make that comparison because you just can't. Michigan doesn't have anywhere close to the wide receivers that Ohio State does, and they probably won't ever because Hartline's that good. But given the fact that Michigan should have the better D-line, they should have the better offensive line, and their special teams unit is impressive, and they're at home, they should win that game. Same with Michigan State. Goal number 3 is the defense needs to be, or the offense, misread that. The offense needs to be borderline top 30. If the 2021 team can do that, so can you. Goal number 4, Michigan needs to show that they can develop their players and make progress. And by that I mean as the team progresses throughout the year, as they play more games, get more snaps, they should improve. You shouldn't stagnate, or players shouldn't get worse. And it's especially important with Bryce Underwood as a true freshman who's going to start. You need to see progression from him, the offense, the defense, the special teams. You have got to see progression. He needs to play at a top 25 level by the end of the season at a minimum. He just has to. If he does not, with the talent he has and the fact that the defense will give him multiple chances, the schedule is pretty easy, and he has an offensive line that nationally, this is not a Joe Moore Award caliber line, but it has the talent, and it has several good enough or great players where they should be able to protect him adequately. They should be able to be a really good run blocking O-line. Again, not elite. This is not a Penn State caliber O-line. It's not even close to Penn State's or Notre Dame's, or maybe even Oregon's. Yet again, I don't know if anyone else in the Big Ten is close to those three. So that's just looking at it for this year. But what about the following season? What about 2026 and beyond? I think with Bryce Underwood at the helm and with the talent Michigan has and how they're recruiting, he is too talented to not win the Big Ten or a national title with at Michigan. He's that talented, which means by 2027, when he'll probably leave for the draft, if he's adequately developed and as elite as people think, as the scouts, as the analysts believe, Michigan's got to hoist something. They have to add something to their trophy room. So the goals beyond 2025. Michigan must make the playoffs every year Underwood is on campus. And they should probably make the playoffs every year regardless, especially as it's going to expand to 16. But I just at least want to make the baseline that every year they should make the playoffs while Underwood is there. Michigan should. Goal number 2, Underwood needs to be developed into a first-round pick, and with his talent profile, with his size, he needs to be better than J.J. McCarthy. Now, does that mean he has to win more games than McCarthy or have a better record? I wouldn't say so, because I don't think, and maybe I'm being a pessimist here, but really until I see it, I don't think you will see a Michigan team the caliber of the 2023 team again. It's just that took such elite coaching and such seniority and depth and fantastic development to reach, where unless Michigan can show me that they can recruit at a top 10 level at the worst, top 5 level at best, and that they can put together an elite staff yet again and have a consistent, dedicated, good athletic department, I don't know if I can say they can field the team as good as the 2023 team again. Even 2022, it'll be hard to get back to that level. I mean, the 2022 team in 2024, I don't know. I think that would have been the second best team in America, like, honestly. And they were nowhere near 2022 Georgia in terms of matchups especially. And I don't know. It just, you get what I'm trying to say. It's harder now than ever to build depth, so I think that's unreasonable to say he needs to have a better record. But better as a player, that's reasonable given the talent and the fact that the Big Ten's only getting tougher, especially at the quarterback position. So Michigan needs to level up there. Goal number 3, the offense in the long run should return to its 2023 self in terms of efficiency. Being able to convert on third down, being able to make the plays when necessary. They should be more explosive, though, with how they're recruiting at wide receiver and Underwood having a stronger, better arm than McCarthy, along with more mobility. Goal number 4, the defense has got to maintain its excellence. If the offense progresses, but the defense is a unit that is now flirting with being inside the top 10 instead of definitely being there every year, well, that's just going to balance out, and Michigan won't be a national championship contender. So the defense has got to maintain, being inside that top 10, being inside that top 5, like it's been there every year since 2021. 2021 it was top 10. 2022 was a top 10, top 5 unit. It was the number 1 unit in America by a good chunk in 23. Last year it started out only being really a top 25 unit, and by the end of the year it was playing like a top 5 one again. And then goal number 5, finally, is that given Michigan's resources and Underwood's talent, I think Michigan's got to win it all by 2027 or 2028. Underwood probably won't be there by 2028, but if Michigan continues to win with Underwood, and maybe they don't win it all, but they're winning at a high level and competing, with the money they have, they will recruit at such a level to where I think at 2028 you can see, okay, like they have the team where they should expect to, win it all by then. I would also, just before we get out of here, because those are my expectations, I think I've given them to you loud and clear. A lot of people are going to call me crazy for saying that. I'm not predicting Michigan will do that. I think that every blue blood program, except for Nebraska, should expect to win a national title at least once a decade, some of them twice a decade. that means every year someone at that top is going to have a disappointing season. So Michigan, I'm not telling you they will win it all by 2027 or 2026. I'm telling you they should expect to, given the talent that's coming in, who Bryce Underwood is. I would not predict Michigan to win it all, like in that time frame right now. I wouldn't, but that doesn't change the expectations. I mean, just because I don't think, for example, that Penn State will be a top 5 recruit or top 10 recruiting program consistently every year, or just because I don't expect James Franklin to be a top 5 head coach, or I don't expect Ohio State to be the unanimous #1 program in the Big Ten anymore, just because I believe those things doesn't mean that the schools should also believe those things. Ohio State should fight to be the best program in the Big Ten. So should Michigan. So should Penn State. I mean, Oregon, USC obviously should. Just because I don't think USC is going to win it all in the next, I'd say 3 or 4 years. I mean, it's even hard for me to say the next 5. It's hard to predict that far out, and USC's well behind other programs at the top. Still, even with all the momentum they've built, doesn't mean their fans and their administration shouldn't expect to hoist the championship by 2030, given their history and given Riley's pedigree, how they're recruiting, and the staff changes they've made. Those are my thoughts on Michigan's expectations now for 2025 and in the long run for 2026 and beyond. Thank you for watching College Football with Sam. Make sure that you've liked the video, subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell for the channel and team playlists and podcasts in the description, joined the free Discord server where we talk college football 24/7, and have commented your thoughts down below. Check out the description for any ways you can support the channel monetarily. Everything else I've asked you to do is completely free, and your support means the world to me. We're trying to become the next big thing on college football YouTube. 6-figure subscribers, maybe 1 million one day. I think we can do that. And also check out any videos or playlists, anything in these columns right here, where there will be videos and playlists. Yeah, you get the point. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one.